probably for all the country's life, but it's been especially pitched and it's especially depicted in this book. It's written by an Oregon professor named Jules Boykoff. It's called Beyond Bullets, The Suppression of Dissent in the United States. And it's like a textbook because it teaches you the techniques that they are using, not used, plural, but are using against us. Like for instance, in an activist group, has anybody here ever heard like chatter or rumors like, oh, did you know that, Sander is actually an agent, or, that Youssef is actually working for the police? Well, that's actually a technique that the FBI and police organizations use. It's called bad jacketing or snitch jacketing. And it's not just, it doesn't only result in bad reputations and character destruction. It actually results in us killing each other. Literally, American Indian Movement, Black Panther Party, it led to such dissension and paranoia that people were like getting their hands chopped off and being discovered in ditches and stuff. And this book has got the stories, it's got the facts about that kind of thing. It talks about Jean Seberg, a Hollywood actress who was sympathetic with the Black Panthers, and how the FBI just decided to target her and used a campaign of black propaganda against her. Started spreading rumors that she was pregnant, and they spread rumors that her baby was half black, was fathered by a Black Panther, and she just couldn't take it, and she had a miscarriage, and then later committed suicide, and it's a tragic American story, similar to the Dr. Graham story, or the Jim Hatfield story, or the Gary Webb story. So that's a book that I highly recommend, because it's like, if more people knew about bad jacketing, there'd be less dissension in the movement. We'd have a stronger movement. The next time we hear some cheap, unfounded, unsubstantiated, unsourced rumors about somebody else that you love or you liked just last week, then we can suddenly stop and say, no, this is not the way. Let's be honest with each other. Let's share information. Let's be open with each other. Let's confront rumors and figure out what's true, what's not true. Because one of the things I have a lot of hope in is information and information technology. And it really seems like we are all on the cusp of a major shift in consciousness, but also this kind of matches certain technological shifts that are happening in Western civilization, for lack of a better term. The internet really does seem like to be a gift from God, in the same way that printing revolutionized the technology and revolutionized religion. It seems that the internet is here to say that hierarchy and top-down power structures are a thing of the past. I read a great book recently called The Starfish and the Spider, which is not even really about politics. It's really about organizations and all organizations, cultures or businesses. And it talks about how really vibrant organizations are like starfish. They don't have any kind of rigid hierarchy, and if you chop off an arm of a starfish, it'll grow a new arm. In the same way that the Apache Indians were impossible to be defeated because they didn't have the chief and the lieutenants. So the Spanish were never able to cut off the head of the Apache, and they were never able to really defeat the Apache, even up until like the 1910s, 1920s. As opposed to the Inca or the Aztecs, which had a rigid hierarchy and were easily defeated by. Yes, thank you, Cortez. And who defeated the Incas, though? Pizarro, very good. You guys are sharp. Dang. Yeah, Pizarro, good. All right, excellent. So the 9/11 Truth Movement is itself a starfish, right? We don't have a president. We don't really have a leader. But we've got these groups, and they morph into other groups, and then all the 9/11 Truth groups suddenly become We Are Change groups, and that's cool. But we are, instead of rules, a starfish group has norms, like cultural norms. They're kind of like the unspoken rules. Like at Rainbow Gathering, if somebody's tripping on acid and starts destroying one of the signs, like, it's not against the rules, but people will culturally just kind of get up and say, hey man, do you need some water or something? That's in The Starfish and the Spider, a great story. And so in the same way, I'm really excited about We Are Change and 9/11 Truth and where the movement's going because of the technology. You know, the fact that we've got these video cameras and we've started confronting politicians. We've started taking our problems to the streets, people. You know, instead of just sitting at home and worrying about it or complaining about it or carping on each other on blogs and the internet, there's this amazing new tendency to actually use the cheap, widely available technologies and the distribution networks of like YouTube. And this is an amazing, empowering thing. I personally did it with We Are Change in Denver. I happened to be there for a speaking gig. We went out the next day, we confronted Giuliani. I happened to get close to him. I asked a question about his admitted foreknowledge. Now this is really weird because he told Peter Jennings on 9/11 that, you know, we were set up at 75 Barclay Street and they told us the towers were going to come down. And it's like, who told you the towers were going to come down? How did you know? And why didn't the first responders and the firemen in the towers, why weren't they told? And why did they have those lousy radios that you gave them or allowed them to keep? Now, unfortunately, again, the police made a political decision in that instance. And even though I was there as a reporter for the VoxPop newspaper, New York Megaphone, I was not allowed to ask that question. I was not allowed to get that question out. I was instead put into a submission hold and dragged out backwards, which was a form of false arrest. That's an illegal act, and I wrote a letter about it and tried to raise consciousness. And the ACLU was actually really supportive of that too. That was nice. But what I'm here to say is that we've got some work to do. We're in a presidential election. I personally am a Green Party guy. The 9/11 cover-up further divorces me from the pseudo-left Democratic Party and certainly gives me no hope in the Republican Party. But as a Green, I'm here to say that it's not just about the Green Party, it's about building third-party coalitions with all the other like-minded people out there, broad third-party coalitions. You know, the 9/11 Truth Movement shows us that patriots and progressives can get together on general issues. You know, and we can inform each other. I've become more critical of the Federal Reserve in my time in the 9/11 Truth Movement because of this kind of cross-fertilization. Specifically, I just recently published a piece called Hillary's Secrets as a way to kind of try to get the truth out there a little bit. And again, it's well-sourced information about Vince Foster, her role in the pardons and how she benefited politically from some of the pardons that Clinton and she ran through in their final days. Did you know she testified in the Iran-Contra hearings? Did you know that?
I don't know.
We dug it up. We dug it up. Yeah, my friend at Guerrilla News Network, Stephen Marshall, first broke this. She was with Rose Law Firm, and they had to testify as to why they had something to do with Mena, Arkansas, the airport that Governor Clinton was sort of helping preside over as governor. And Mena, Arkansas, everybody know where that is? Mena, Arkansas? It was a part of the Iran-Contra operation, and it's one of the least talked about because it's the taboo topic of just how involved is the CIA in certain black ops that involve narcotics. I just was actually reading the Gary Webb book, and Gary Webb is the guy that reported on this for San Jose Mercury News and then committed suicide when his career was shut down because the LA Times, the Washington Post, and the New York Times all just denounced him. They all piled on him for simply speaking the truth about the Mena, Arkansas, and LA crack epidemic and how it was tied to Iran-Contra. So, I'm calling on all of us in 9/11 Truth, We Are Change, and just progressives nationwide. As of today, this is my new announcement. It's time for us all to confront Hillary. We did it with Giuliani, we took him down a notch. It's time to do it with Hillary because she's just living in a bubble. And the media is complicit with the bubble that she's in. And I did a little research on Obama's opposition research director. He used to work in the Clinton White House. So we're expecting a free market of ideas, right, in the political system. But you're not going to get that, people, when Devorah Adler used to write health policy in the Clinton White House. I actually called her up and I said, isn't that a conflict of interest? And she said, well, all of this is off the record. I don't never talk to the press. But no, there's no conflict. There's no conflict. I feel no conflict.